Asthma. What is asthma? What are the signs and symptoms if you suspect somebody's actually having an asthma attack? There are many people in the United Kingdom that actually suffer from asthma. 1 in 11 children have asthma, and 1 in 12 adults have asthma. On average, about 3 people die per day due to asthma. Sadly, 2 of those 3 people needed to have died if first aid was administered quickly. There's different things that can cause somebody to find it difficult to breathe when they've got asthma. A lot of the time is when they do things sudden. So from a standstill to start sprinting, and that can grab their breath, and that can cause them to have a bit of an attack. Maybe it's freezing cold outside, but that's okay. They can still go outside because it's cold. But ideally, they should really cover their face when they go outside and gently lower down that scarf so the body and lungs get used to it. But think about the kids at sports day or PE at school. Now, they don't want to just run just like all the other children do because it's going to make them ill. But it's extremely important that when we build up exercise slowly for asthma sufferers, so they can start walking, then into a jog, and then they can start running. Just because you've got asthma doesn't mean that you can't do sport. It just means that you need to adapt it a little bit. So when it comes to somebody actually having maybe an asthma attack, or they need their inhalers, let's look a little bit closer what it is. Asthma is when there's inflammation of the bronchioles. It's a part of the airway system. And when these bronchioles narrow, it makes it hard for air to get in and out. And that's when you hear like that wheezing. It's a bit like, first of all, I don't have asthma. I could breathe through, let's say, a hose pipe. And it's easy for me. But somebody who has asthma, it's like then trying to breathe through a straw. So imagine that, how hard it could be. So somebody's having an asthma attack. What are you going to do? It's absolutely essential that you get them to sit down and rest. But what we don't want them to do is hunch over. Because if they do this, then they're putting more pressure onto the lungs and it's making it hard to breathe. So ideally, we want them to sit up, and a little tip that I have learned over the years is ask them to put their hands behind the head. I do this with children, but I also say it to adults. Ask them to tickle their ears. And this way it gets the lungs, the chest open and easier to breathe. Now, an asthma sufferer will have their inhalers, fingers crossed. There's many, many different colours of inhalers. There's orange ones, yellow ones, purple ones, brown ones, pink ones, round ones, white ones. All of these inhalers, all of the other colours, this is not to treat somebody that requires medication straight away. All the colours of the inhalers, this is purely what we call preventative medication. Their doctors, the asthma doctor may say to them, you need to take the brown one in the morning, the brown one at night, the pink one in the morning, the white one in the afternoon. So that is down to the doctor and their cause of asthma. But if somebody is wheezing, the only inhaler that is going to help them at this time is the blue one. The blue one is the reliever. Notice the word reliever. It's going to relieve the symptoms. So the person, you have them sitting down, they'll be able to take their own inhaler themselves. But normally they need to give it a little bit of a shake so it mixes up the medicine. They will take off the safety cap and they will take it and take it in. And they may take another one. A lot of this time, doing those 2 puffs can relieve their symptoms, and quite often they're able to carry on with their day. If, however, they're still struggling to breathe, they're still wheezing, after 5 minutes, they can take another 2 puffs. If they're still struggling to breathe, after another 5 minutes, get them to take another 2 puffs. By this point, if it's not getting any better, it is absolutely essential that you call emergency services, 999. You tell them you require an ambulance and tell them what the problem is. You have an asthma sufferer who has taken their medication, their blue inhaler, but is having no effect. This is a medical emergency. The ambulance crew will arrive. They will probably put a nebulizer onto the person. A nebulizer is a high dose of the blue inhaler, the reliever. They will let that run. Depending on the person's medical history, they might be absolutely fine and they might not need to go into hospital. But if they've got other underlying problems, it might be a trip into the hospital to get checked out and for further treatment. But let's just have a little recap. When it comes to asthma, the inhaler, the only one that's going to help them in the case of struggling to breathe, is the blue one. If they don't have the blue one with them, you call emergency services. And if the inhaler is not working, it's not relieving the symptoms, you call emergency services. Remember that fact. 1 in 11 children and 1 in 12 adults suffer from asthma in the United Kingdom. I'm Sarah, owner and trainer of First Aid at Work Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire, making training fun, engaging, but most importantly, memorable.